Hello, this is Rory with a Love Chat, and today's topic is trusting again. Now, this is video number 214. If you have a question you'd like for me to consider featuring on the Love Chat, please write it in a comment below. And if you enjoy my videos, I would be so very grateful if you would subscribe and hit like. YouTube has an algorithm that shows my videos more often with the more subscriptions and likes and comments that it has. So that way we can help other people by getting to them before some of the other more manipulative channels do. As a last order of business, all of my coaching services are discounted through the new year. So if you're interested in getting my help in a coaching, just visit my website, thelovechat.net/coaching. Now then, today's topic is about trusting again. This can be trusting your ex again. This can be trusting someone new in a dating situation again. This can be just trusting yourself again. Ultimately, when we are betrayed, we go through a series of doubts in our own mind. And this is because we've been burned in the past, and we want to know that there's some sort of guarantee that this is going to be a thing of the past. And we often want some sort of guarantee that this won't happen again in our future. Oftentimes we feel as though, how can I trust anyone else? I can barely trust myself. And where does that come from? Well, think about this. When we get into relationships, dating scenarios or breakups, whatever it might be, we create an idea of who the person we're dating is. And in a lot of these different scenarios, we think that we know them as best as we do, and we think that they'll never hurt us, or at least not purposely. And then something usually happens. Maybe it's caused by us, or maybe it's caused by them. But for one reason or another, the expectation that we had created of who they were is thrown into chaos, right? It's broken down. The idea of who I thought my ex was, or who I thought that person I was dating was, shatters. Maybe they do something that we didn't expect. Maybe they break up with us. Maybe they cheat on us or abuse us or something like that. Now, since that idea we created of who they are has been thrown into a state of disarray and chaos, we begin to internally blame ourselves. Now, don't get me wrong. We'll give them some blame as well. But by and large, we blame ourselves because of naivete. In other words, it's pretty much this. If you're this close to me, and you could do this to me, is that my flaw? Is that something that I am carrying into other relationships? If you could do this to me, and I didn't see it coming, is it my fault? And that can very easily trigger feelings of insecurity and self-doubt, which we usually already had going into the relationship. And if we don't really work on ourselves in the way that we need to in order to make sure this doesn't happen again, at least from our end, because we can never fully predict what another person's going to do, well then, we develop a fear of having that pain ever happen to us again, sort of like a scab or a callus. We're afraid to experience love again, and so we do what many people do. We bring all of this baggage with us, and with the baggage comes the walls. And we put up all of these different walls because, frankly, we're afraid to get hurt. We're put into all these different relationships where we just want to know that we're loved and we can be ourselves and you can accept us for how we are and vice versa. And unfortunately, due to past trauma, due to past relationships where we weren't treated as well as we could have been, or maybe we didn't treat ourselves as well as we could have been treated, or maybe we didn't treat our partner as well as they could have been treated. But something happened, and somewhere along the line, we learned not to trust. Now, how can you have a healthy, happy, new relationship either with your ex or somebody new if you don't trust anybody? And so, what do you do about that? You're in a situation where you feel as though you can't trust, and you can't fully love if you don't open yourself up to pain, and to hurt, and to risk. And that is just a reality of love. My friends, there is no such thing as love without the potential for pain. And even more so, there is no such thing as security in someone who is not us, because we aren't in control of the other thing, but we are in control of ourselves. So, what do you do about this problem? Well, obviously, focusing on yourself and learning to trust yourself and learning to bargain with yourself in a way that you find effective is a good place to start. Because if you don't trust yourself, then you don't belong in a relationship. Not only with this person or your ex, but with anybody. Because if you don't trust yourself, how are you going to trust them? If you don't love yourself, how are they going to love you? Now, trusting yourself comes in many different forms. Maybe a good example of learning to trust yourself is to set realistic goals for yourself that you know you can accomplish because you didn't set the bar too high. You've lived with yourself for a number of years, and by now you've realized certain quirks that you might have, or certain things that you're more willing to do or less willing to do, and maybe those habits start with something as simple as going to the gym. Maybe, just maybe, and this is going to be hard to believe for a lot of you, I know, it's shocking, but maybe you're not the type of person to go to the gym 7 days a week. Maybe you need to start with something small, like going once a week. Now, some of you are kind of craning your head at this point and saying, what does going to the gym have to do with learning to trust myself? It's simple. You're setting a realistic goal that you can accomplish, and you're making it manageable enough, and you're saying to yourself, I'm not going to exceed this goal until I have accomplished it. Because what happens if you go about exceeding that goal? Well, then you won't trust yourself. Because you set a goal, you went beyond that goal, and now you don't trust yourself because you went beyond that goal. Now, a lot of you might go, well, what's wrong with going beyond that? What's wrong with working even harder? Well, the problem is, will you be able to sustainably do that every single time? If you go to the gym 7 days a week, and the next week, will you be able to keep it up 7 days a week, and the next week, 7 days a week? Think about how many people say this. Think about New Year's resolutions. How many people make a commitment by January only to fail it by February? The truth is, they're setting goals that are not realistic or reasonable, and so they don't trust themselves to finish those goals. This bleeds into other areas of your life, including romance, including love, and including getting too excited about something before we have course or cause to. So, setting small, manageable goals will be something extremely useful for you. And it doesn't just have to be the gym example like I used. It can be anything. Maybe it's about reading one new book a month, or at least reading one page of your book per day. Find out where your limits are, and then slowly and gently work beyond those limits and respect yourself along the way. So that is how you slowly restore trust in yourself. And the more trust you have in yourself, the more security you have in yourself, the better your relationships will be, because you trust yourself to say, this situation is no good for me, and I'm going to walk away. But what about the other half? What about learning to trust your partner more, or your future partner? Well, I'm a firm believer that building trust is, by and large, about communication. If I've clearly defined and explored what I want to tell my partner in such a way that I understand, and I trust that I can communicate it to them in a way where I won't get chewed out, well, I can begin restoring some trust, or begin building some trust. Communication is important, just like boundaries. Being able to put your foot down and say, look, I need to put a boundary up here. This is something I'm not comfortable with, or I need a certain amount of time to myself, or I need a certain amount of space. Basically, talk to them. Be realistic about your goals. Ask them to participate and to contribute. Because if you're put into a situation where your partner is not willing to participate or contribute, remember, you've worked on trusting yourself enough to walk away from a situation that wasn't working for you. What's more, to add to that, is that you took time to figure out how you were doing, and you explained it to your partner in a way a 6-year-old could understand. And so you know that you're clearly communicating your needs to your partner. And also, be open to them. Give what you intend to receive. If you give them your undivided attention, you expect that they should give you their undivided attention, and vice versa. If there's something your partner needs to talk about with you, make time for them. Sit down, look them in the eye, and communicate. You'll find that trust is easily built, but it's also easily lost. Above all, remember why you're in this relationship. Remember why you love that person. Enjoy the things about them and treat each other like you're both a prize and you're so lucky to have won each other. If you're single, now's a wonderful time to work on your personal communication with yourself. Check in with yourself. How are you doing? Maybe there's some things that you want to explore. But if you learn to trust yourself, you'll notice that most of your interpersonal relationships get 1,000 times easier. That's all I had for today. If you found this video helpful, I'd be very grateful if you'd subscribe and hit like. Please leave a comment below and tell me what you thought of this video and what videos you'd like to see in the future. Additionally, if you'd like private live streams with me, free giveaways of my best-selling book on Amazon, and extra love chat videos, just visit my Patreon. Patreon.com/thelovechat. Until next time.